What's up, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in to another On the Ball podcast. Hopefully, you're having a good day. Hopefully, you had a great weekend. We're going to talk about the weekend that was in the NFL and as well as the NBA. We learned who the All Star game starters are, so we're going to discuss that really quickly. But before we get into all of that, got to introduce the crew. We got over there the Giants fan on the panel, Ian. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. I can't complain. I cannot complain. It was a fun weekend of football, so I am good. Uh, in the middle, not guarding the two, he's guarding the three. You might have saw him earlier for a watch along. But Brett, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I don't know how to feel today though. The Bucks won, but we at the end of the day we lost our defensive coordinator to the Dolphins. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit of an up and down day for my sports fandom.
I hear that. You never want to lose a coach on your staff. Well, I mean, we'll talk about that as well because seems like we might start getting some more hires here happening, which I'm definitely down for. But before we even get into that, let's start NBA. Been a while, but we're checking in on them. All-Star game starters have been released. Let me bring that up so everybody can see. And would love to know everybody's thoughts on the starters. What's going on, Sergio?
What's
Broncos
going
are
on,
going to the Super
Sergio?
Bowl. I mean,
Jared
the odds on
Stidham.
them have to be pretty high right now. You might have to go lay some money down now that
I'll,
Stidham is starting.
I'll say if you're confident, put money down now because the odds are never going to get better than they are now.
Yeah. Um, but the starters are here. Obviously, this is the fan vote, and then the reserves will be done by the coaches. The coaches will pick the reserves. Oh, we're good, Sergio. Hopefully you're having a good day. So the East got Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brown, Giannis, Tyrese Maxey. And remember, it's U.S. versus the world, but I guess they'll sort all that out. Got Luca, SGA, Steph Curry, Wemby, Jokic. Thoughts on the starters? I know everybody's looking at two big snubs in Ant and Donovan Mitchell. If you believe they were snubbed, who would you sub them for? Initial thoughts. Start with you, Ian.
Oh man, yeah. So I would probably sub them for Brunson and Curry. Honestly, I mean Brunson's been up and down, and
Mhm.
Curry just is a shell of what he used to be. I mean, he can still hit ridiculous shots. He can still ball, but he's not what he used to be. And players like Donovan Mitchell and Ant are just balling out every single day, week in and week out. So those are the two that I'd probably sub out for those two.
Okay. I mean, Brett, do you feel the same way?
I mean, first they got the wrong Celtic on here. Where's Nemus Quito when you need him? Get that bum in the middle out of here. Where's Quito? But yeah, I think Brunson and Curry have been good. I think obviously at the end of the day they should be all-star reserves. But if we're trying to pick the best of the best to represent the All-Star game, then Anthony Edwards has been better than Steph Curry this year. I don't think that's debatable. I think Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell are closer,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the metric for Jalen Brunson being better than D Mitch is pretty much comes down to wins and losses. I do think D Mitch has been better than Brunson, even though I think that's a lot closer. But personally, the East starters, I'm fine with. I'm fine with at the end of the day. I would personally probably sub out Donovan Mitchell for Jalen Brunson out for Mitchell. But if you think Brunson, that's fine. But I think that it's pretty easily Anthony Edwards over Steph Curry in the year 2026.
Okay. And I guess based off of the like I said, USA versus the world, I guess wouldn't it technically turn to like Giannis swapping with Steph?
Oh, oh, this is
Because
a
those would
blowout.
that would be the American side, I guess, and Giannis is obviously part of the world. So you're looking at Luca, SGA. Giannis, Wemby, and Jokic.
Uh, have you ever seen?
Pretty
Have you ever?
pretty good world lineup there.
I'd say, have you ever seen that meme? Coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb. That's exactly what that is.
Oh, Sergio, dynamite reference there. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think this year's gonna be a little weird thinking of it as USA versus the Worlds, because if that was the US starting lineup, that's pretty small with Brunson and Steph. I mean, Cade is a big guy, so I guess it does actually work out a little bit. But Maxi is also kind of small too, so
Does it work out? Like you're running a lineup where arguably Jaylen Brown's the biggest guy in the starting lineup. Like literally, the play
well, that's
down
all I'm
the
like. I don't understand how that's gonna work, because this is the
Yeah.
fan voting. But I guess if you're the coach of that team, you could literally
Quick
just
sub.
change the lineup. And
It's gonna be a quick sub, like 1
Yeah.
second in, because if this is the lineup every time down the court, it's just gonna be Wemby pointing his finger up to throw the lob,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that they can do about it.
And I'm interested to see who the coaches pick. Because the ballot that I did, I know I had Mitchell in for Brunson for sure, because I thought Mitchell was having a better year, and Brunson, like you said, up and down. I can't remember if I did Ant or Steph. I might have did Ant as well, because Ant is having a really good year, and the Timberwolves as a team. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not completely upset with it. I feel like the fans did better than they have done some years. But a name that isn't there, one that probably doesn't deserve to be there, but we got to mention it. LeBron's streak has come to an end. He is not an All-Star game starter. I'm sure nobody's surprised, but yeah, the streak is over.
Is
Cooper Flag reserve?
Oh, probably not. I'm gonna say no.
Mm.
I think next year he'll be a reserve, but I don't think they'll pick him this year. Like the coaches really love pulling the old like seniority card. They don't really. I don't know if they're gonna pick Cooper Flag as a reserve.
Yeah, maybe if Dallas' season was a little bit better, he'd have a better shot at it.
Yeah.
One more before I go. How do you stop Dallas Cowboys from jumping into your backyard, put end zone on your fence? Appreciate that one, Sergio. Yeah, that. Oh, I hated that. It was such a LeBron thing to do, but
Well, we'll be able to see him as a reserve, and then I'm sure he'll find a reason not to play.
Absolutely, what he does now. But yeah, so look, we just wanted to kind of kick off the conversation with some NBA talk. When they do announce, when they announce the reserves, we'll take a look at that, and then I guess look at the U.S. and the world team as a whole and see who has the upper hand. Right now, you got to give it to the world team with that starting five alone. But we'll see who the coaches decide to fill out rosters with. But got to get into divisional round weekend. It was an interesting weekend. I feel like a couple of games were pretty good. A couple turned to blowouts. I mean, one was kind of over from the start, which will actually start there. Niners and Seahawks. Shaheed returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown. The kicker gave probably one of the worst efforts. He tried to do a slide tackle to take him down, got a penalty for it, didn't even take him down. And it seemed like from that game was over. Seattle was clearly the better team on the field. Like, no doubt about it. Looking at the 49ers, because I think last week we kind of went through this and was like, what went wrong? I think we all know what went wrong in that game. They're beat up, all that. Are the 49ers, no, not are the 49ers. Is the 49ers window closed, open? How do you feel about this team? Because they've been good the past few years, but it seems like every year the playoffs we're talking more so about guys who are injured and not available than necessarily them, obviously, as a Super Bowl team, because they haven't done that yet. And Shanahan still has the 28-3 on his resume and everything. But are the 49ers still a legit contender, or do you think that they have missed their window of opportunity?
Can they be healthy and come playoff time? Like, are they a legit contender? They're well coached every year, probably, but the problem is they're just so beat up and banged up every time the playoffs roll around that I can't. Let me put it this way: would I bet money on them to win a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. Would I be surprised if they were in the Super Bowl next year? Absolutely not. This has always been a well-coached team from top to bottom. The problem is they can't stay healthy ever. So, is their window closed? I don't think so. But also, you're relying on them to stay healthy for their window to remain open. So, talent-wise, no. Injury-wise, the window's like this. One more key injury or a Trent Williams retirement, and it's probably shut.
Okay. Ian, I guess how do you feel about their window?
I guess I feel it's very similar to Brett. Am I going to be surprised if they make it next year? No, but with key injuries with Nick Bosa, I mean, he's been out the past couple of years. He's gotten hurt and not been able to stay healthy, and he's the premier edge rusher for them. And not having a guy that you can consistently rely on to stay healthy, to go after the quarterback, not having a good pass rush, your top linebacker gets hurt. All those key factors played a big role in this game. And I just think that in this game, Kubiak and McDonald just had a great plan going in there, and the 49ers were just outcoached and outplayed. And I think if they were healthy, this might have been a whole different ball game, but I don't necessarily think that their window is closed yet. But if they can't seem to find a way to maybe have better player conditioning, so that way they don't get hurt as often, this team might be back in it, but I don't see it coming anytime soon.
I think the first step is what they have to do is clear that clear some cap space by getting that quitter Brandon Ayuk off their team.
Yeah,
gave up on the team.
I literally forgot he was still part of their organization.
They paid him. They let him rehab. They did everything in their power to appease him, and he still quit on him. You don't need that kind of energy and effort in their locker room. Get him out of here. I don't even care if you have to pay a little extra money to do it next year. Whatever happens, and I know they're going to come out and say the right things, Brandon's a big part of our future. Really? Where is he?
Yeah.
They can't even make the effort to travel with the team, be on the sidelines. Now, they try to appease him all year, and he still quit on him. First order of business here, the 49ers, get the $120 million waste of money off your team.
Quick follow-up. Brock Purdy, Super Bowl level quarterback, yes or no? I mean, I guess to win one. I know he's been there, but do you think he's to win one?
Yeah, to win one.
Okay.
I think so.
I know. I feel like some people don't necessarily, want to give him credit. I think people still look at him as Mr. Irrelevant and everything like that, but he seems like he has all the tools there to be one. It's just like you said, the Ayuk situation, the fact they got as far as they did with that kind of looming over them, you got to give Shanahan and I guess the team credit for putting that behind them. But I agree, they got to do something with him. I don't know if you can pawn him off on somebody, but he cannot be on the roster come next season.
It's one of those things that I think people kind of misunderstand what Super Bowl winning quarterback kind of entails. A lot of the times it's manage the game, make throws when you need to, and don't turn the ball over, right? That's how Tom Brady won 7. Tom Brady wasn't, running around for 30 seconds before throwing it. He wasn't throwing a ton of crazy passes. He was managing the game, using his mind more than his legs. And at the end of the day, he had the arm to make plays when he needed. and he, developed into the GOAT based off his arm skills, but his mind, his knowledge of the game. So I think Brock Purdy can very well has those big throws in him. He can manage the game. And I've seen him being put into position to win a game and do it. So I'm not trying to compare Tom Brady and Brock Purdy, but I think he's just I think he's a good example. We've also seen guys like 2015 Peyton Manning win Super Bowls with just using their mind and mainly just manipulating defenses and their arms. That's kind of where I'm going with this. I do think that Brock Purdy, if you give him a good enough defense, I do think that he can make enough plays and manage the game well enough to win a Super Bowl. Put Brock Purdy on the Texans, and they're in the AFC Championship game right now.
We'll get on the Texans here a little bit because, that was an experience for people. But okay, I agree. I feel like Brock Purdy is definitely good enough. Let's look at the other NFC game, Rams and the Bears. 2017 Rams win. I feel like very exciting. I feel like if you haven't seen the play from Caleb Williams, there late in the game, Kevin Harlan had a great call for it, I think on the radio side, but it was just fun all around. The Bears as a team, I feel like we can all agree this was an overall successful season. What's the next step for the Bears in the offseason? How do they improve to get further ahead than they ultimately ended up this season? What is that one thing they most need to improve on?
Keep the team together.
Okay, so you would just run it back and think like, I guess the experience would help
I don't
out.
necessarily think you fully run it back, but the problem is you got to make sure to field competent players from 39 to 52 on your 52-man roster.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears have about $5 million in cap space, and guys like Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker hitting free agency, and an entire rookie class assigned. I think that you don't need to run it back. I think you just identify which key pieces you want to keep. So, for example, if I'm the Bears, I'm making sure I restructure and do whatever I can to make sure Jaquan Brisker doesn't leave town.
Mm-hmm.
And you identify your key free agents, but you just really have to make sure at the end of the day you find a way to plug the back of that roster with quality players because you're not going to be able to keep everybody. You're not going out and getting, a ton of extra quality pieces. So, like I said, I love the season Chicago had. Now the next challenge is, okay, we got $5 million in space. Obviously, we can do restructures, void years, and push some money back into the future. How do we do that to not only keep the players that have earned a big raise, but still add more, depth to this team? So, you can say maybe see if you can add some line help in the draft, but overall, the challenge at this point is how do you navigate free agency with limited funds, and you got to nail this draft.
Okay. Ian, what's the thing that they need most next season?
Well, I think that Bears have had a great season. I mean, they've got three very good wide receivers, 2 great tight ends. Their run game has been great this year. Caleb's played very well. Their offensive line has been pretty decent. Not the best offensive line in the league, but near the top. Getting some depth at O-line would help a little bit. And also just having some defensive players in the cornerback position and more depth at safety would help a lot too, because I know when Brisker went down, that was a big hit for them when they were against Green Bay. I know he was back playing against the Rams, and they also had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back as well, and that was a big bolster to their team because Chauncey's a baller. He goes out there, he gives everything he's got, and it's definitely a big addition to the Bears team and the success for their defense this year. So if you're going to be restructuring, you need to get guys like CJ on your defense in the cornerback and defensive back position just to help out mean, the Bears should have won this game, but they ultimately did not, just because of a poor decision on Caleb to throw that ball. But they outplayed their offense outplayed the Rams, but just couldn't come away with it.
I would also consider taking a dead cap even if needed to get rid of DJ Moore. So, okay, I'm going to let people know what my biggest beef in games are. You can drop passes, you can miss kicks, you can do all that, and I'll be like, slow the game, it happens. Unless you consistently do it, it becomes a problem, but, things happen, whatever. The one thing I can't stand is lack of effort. That's why I harped on my own guy and Rashawn Gary. That's why I'm excited to get rid of him this offseason. He needs to go. I don't care where. Send him wherever. DJ Moore. You mentioned that last play, and that's why I bring this up. I don't think that was a great read by Caleb Williams, but I can understand it because he thought that DJ Moore was going to flatten out the route and run this way. Now, this is a great play by the Rams safety. Whether it's a catch or not, it's going to be 50-50. But I think that DJ Moore did have a chance to make a play on it. The problem is he looked like he was just doing a practice walkthrough and jogging. He didn't give any effort on that route. I don't think that was the greatest read by Caleb Williams on that interception. However, what makes it look worse than it really was the lack of effort from DJ Moore. And this isn't just a one-game issue. This has been a season-long issue with DJ Moore. He'll turn it up at times when he looks great, when he turns it up. But the problem is he'll just randomly decide to take plays off. So it's like you'll get plays like last week when he won the game versus the Packers. And then you'll get plays like this week where he didn't even give an effort to try to save the game versus the Rams. So I think that you got to find a way to move on from DJ Moore. So he's just not it. And if he's going to give the effort he did on that interception, which was completely unacceptable, you gotta ship him out, man. Let Rome be your number one. Let Colston Loveland shoulder that load. I think they're more than ready for it, but that was just pathetic effort by DJ Moore on that last play.
No, I agree with that, and it was definitely a head scratching decision from DJ Moore, because worst thing that should have happened with that is, maybe he and the safety meet at the ball and it's incomplete, and you go, maybe Caleb dodged one, but at least DJ didn't just give up on the route like you said. And I think for the Bears, you take this season as the baseline of how good you can be, and just hope for what the experience that they are better next year. Like I said, cap space will be an issue, but the holes that you do have, you could fill in the draft. And look, the draft is definitely an important part of team building because it's cheap players that you can have on your payroll. So if they can knock it out first few rounds, who knows? They could be in the same spot next year, and they might be better off. And Ian, like you said, we look at the Rams. The Rams probably should have lost to the Panthers and probably should have lost to the Bears. They are very fortunate to be where they are, but a veteran group like that takes advantage of those opportunities that you give them. Panthers, pulled off of their pressure. Stafford takes them down the field. Parkinson scores a touchdown. They win. The Bears, DJ Moore doesn't want to run through his route. Fine. The Rams pick it off. They go down. They score, and they win. So you definitely have to give the Rams credit. But, yeah, the Bears, just keep going on this course, and I guess hopefully you're back there next year. No guarantees, but you should definitely be in somewhat of a position to succeed next year.
Yeah, overall, I said before the playoffs even started, even if they lost opening weekend to the Packers, great season by the Bears. So the fact that they pushed the Rams all the way to overtime, hats off to them. Caleb Williams, you're a franchise quarterback and a special talent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. AFC. We'll go Broncos, Bills. Broncos, another overtime game. Get the Bills late, 33-30. Everybody's looking at this game and looking at the controversial calls in overtime. I've seen some fans talking about it was rigged. Bills got robbed, blah, blah, blah. First off, did you have a problem with the PI calls? I'm only looking at the PI calls because everybody's disregarding the Joey Bosa roughing the passer, which would still have been called if you didn't call the Taron Johnson PI. It would be a difference of 2 yards, but it still would have been a first down. The Tre'Davious White, if you're complaining about that one, I don't know what to tell you. Like, he literally just tackled Mims, who burnt him on the route. So, did you have an issue with the calls, and do you think that's the reason why the Bills lost and Bills are valid with their, being upset with the officials?
No, there's no problem with the call.
It's a simple question. Yeah. I don't know if either one of you maybe had some sympathy towards Bills fans. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
No, and I'm tired of this whole narrative around the Bills. I've come out of this game somehow.
Yeah.
We got players and analysts like, well, if we just ignore the turnovers, like, I can't.
Right.
Like, I literally watch you guys for like every other quarterback. I watch you guys, for example, Kyle, I don't mean to sound like a Ravens fan, but I watched Lamar Jackson turn the ball over twice last year against the Bills. Mm-hmm. Come back, have a fantastic second half. Mark Andrews drops it. Well, Lamar should have thrown 2 first half, turnovers. Like, okay, well, whatever, that's valid, Mm-hmm. But let's keep that same energy for Josh Allen. We don't need to baby him.
Right.
He turned the ball over 4 times, and 3 of them were ugly turnovers. That turnover before half was maybe the worst turnover you'll ever see in a big game. Like, mm-hmm. That was just absurd. And when you turn the ball over and hand them a field goal in a 3-point loss, maybe the turnovers you can't just ignore because maybe they directly impacted the outcome. The first PI, do I think they should have let it go? Yeah, probably. That looked like just hand fighting. But guess what? There is a 15-yard penalty for roughing the passer anyway. So guess what? Is there really a difference between 15 and 17 yards? If we're talking about what happens in the next 2 plays,
right?
There's no difference. Guess what? The second PI, I get why Tre'Davious White would feel some kind of way, because if you're involved in the play, of course you're going to think, I didn't do that. What? You got to let it play out. Watching from your TV, come on. He got there early, tackled them while the ball's in the air. It was clear PI. I'm just tired of this narrative that, well, we couldn't have lost the game, so we got to find somebody else to blame. It's the refs' fault. It's the refs'
mm-hmm.
fault.
Mm-hmm.
As great as your quarterback was at times, and he obviously led the offense drop 30, he did have a lot of good plays. I'm not going to discredit him. He had 3 really ugly turnovers. Mm-hmm. And, of course, as controversial as the Brandon Cooks one was, which, guess what? It was an interception. You still can't do that and expect to win a football game. Guess what? Let's not baby Josh Allen. He was a big reason why they lost. As big of a reason as to why they were in the game, he was just as big of a reason why they lost it. So, no, we're not just going to ignore. Let's ignore the 4 turnovers and the fact that he completely sailed the throw that would have won the game in regulation. We're not going to do that. Josh Allen played great for stretches, but ultimately, at the end of the day, his mistakes were too costly to overcome.
Okay. Yeah. Because Ian, I'll ask you something a little different, because obviously the calls we can agree with. I guess looking at the coaching move that happened because of this, the correlations there, Sean McDermott loses his job the very next day. Was the Sean McDermott firing fair or not in your eyes?
I think at some point you've got to look at the situation that you've got. You've got a quarterback in their prime, and you've gone to the playoffs multiple years without any hardware for it. You've got to look at football like a business. You're not getting the job done. You're getting to the playoffs, but you're not coming away with anything. And maybe a change of scenery is the right thing to do in order for Josh Allen to be successful. So to move on from Sean McDermott after this year is probably the best thing for the Bills and for Josh Allen, just because they're not getting the job done. Maybe the change of scenery is going to be good. Maybe it sets them back. But the only way to keep going forward with this team is to change the scenery, hopefully get new perspective on this team, get new ideas going, and hopefully get this team to where they need to be and where they should be.
I guess, Brett, what do you think about the news of the McDermott firing?
I agree. It's the same kind of situation when we're talking about a lot of these coaches, right? Like when we're talking about John Harbaugh getting fired. It's they need to change the scenery, but he'll get scooped up right away. It's the same situation, and say with Sean McDermott, he's going to get scooped up right away. But the Bills definitely needed a change of scenery. Like, how many heartbreaking losses can you really suffer? Like, over and over and over again, whether it's a missed field goal, 13 seconds, this previous game, like at some point, you got to try something different, because running it back, especially when you're potentially getting Mahomes back healthy and with a reloaded Chiefs team with Eric Bieniemy back at the helm, we know the Ravens aren't going to stand pat. Say we got teams that are on the up and up; they're just getting better. Jacksonville's got something to build on. Like, I just don't think that you can afford to be complacent. So I do think, I think McDermott will be okay. I think he gets scooped up by another team pretty much immediately. But I do think that it was time for Buffalo to move on.
I mean, I was a little surprised by it. I thought, so my thinking was McDermott going into the playoffs. If they had lost the Jags game, I was like, yeah, he probably gets fired. I thought maybe winning the Jags game would have bought him a year. But I don't think it was something where, he gets like 3-4 years off of that win, because I agree. That stat about the Bills being like the only team to win playoff games 6 consecutive years, but they're the only one that hasn't like made a Super Bowl within that time frame, that doesn't work in McDermott's favor. I think having the reigning MVP in Josh Allen, and I guess a player that a lot of analysts feel like is the best player in football, and falling short the way that you did in overtime to a Broncos team that I felt like Bills fans felt very confident that they could go in there and beat, wasn't working in McDermott's favor. I also think the landscape of the AFC probably doesn't work in his favor, because, they win the division 5 straight years or 6 straight, whatever it is. The Patriots get Vrabel. They're already in the AFC title game. Buffalo's sitting at home. That doesn't work in his favor at all either. And if Harbaugh could get fired and Tomlin step away, if I'm Buffalo, I'm like, what's really keeping McDermott's job safe if guys like that, who have been more successful, you could say, are losing their job? So it might have just been this whirlwind effect that led to Buffalo moving on from him. I agree with you, Brett. I think he probably gets hired right away, depending on which job he wants. He could probably get. But it was an interesting decision, though, and we'll have to see, I guess, who they go ahead and hire after him. I mean, they should have their pick, because I guess Buffalo might be seen as maybe the best job available. I don't know. It all depends. But I did see something funny like on online where they were like, Harbaugh and Stefanski realizing the Bills job came free after they signed are probably wondering, like, can I get out of it now and go over there? Like, but it's the 10th job that opened up this year. That is kind of crazy. A third of the league looking for new coaches.
Last time since 2022, and only 2 of those coaches are left.
And the list of guys who got hired that year, like that's the Hackett year and all that. It's like, we can see why none of you lasted, other than Bowles and McDaniel. Really got multiple years.
I'd say that's kind of a reason why when a lot of my Packers fans, for example, they were chanting for McDaniels to get fired. I was thinking back to, like, for example, when I saw that 2022 set, I'm like, you should probably wait. Like, because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And there's some good candidates still available, but at the end of the day, it's slim pickings. There's going to be some reaches, and who knows if all these guys are even going to get head coaching jobs. It'll be interesting, but like I said, I just think that grass isn't always greener, and that firing your coach probably isn't always the right move.
Right. Like I said, I mean, we'll see who they end up hiring. But the last game that we'll talk about, divisional weekend, Patriots Texans. The weather obviously was a factor. CJ Stroud's play was a factor. The Patriots defense was really good, but Stroud, I mean, like I said, we'll get into best and worst weekend. Stroud's obviously a nominee for worst weekend. A lot of people are questioning CJ Stroud coming out of that game. So, we kind of did this with Bryce Young, same draft class. You look at CJ Stroud, do you give him extension? If you do, how long? Do you make him play out the 5th-year option? Like, what do you do with him? Because he's been to the divisional round, I believe, 3 straight years and lost all 3 years. So what do you do with CJ Stroud if you were the Texans?
You know what's funny? People are going to say, let him play out the 5th-year option, but this might be the offseason to extend him. Like, if you really think here's your franchise quarterback, you might as well attempt to extend him while his stock's at an all-time low. I feel like that this offseason...
If you were representing the Texans, would he be your guy?
I would probably consider it on like a short-term deal. Like a short-term, let's say maybe we rip up the 5th-year option instead, sign like a 3-year deal with little to no guaranteed money on the back end. Like, at the end of the day, is he the guy? Remain to be seen. I don't think so. But at the same time, if you're the Houston Texans, where are you finding somebody that's better is the challenge. Like, you could risk drafting a quarterback, but then you're risking wasting one of the best defenses in the league while you're waiting for this quarterback to develop. You can trade for
Davis Mills.
You can trade for Tua or Kyler Murray, but there's a reason those guys are on the market.
Mm-hmm.
It's a risky play. I would almost consider running it back with him for a couple of years because I don't know, it just feels like that you can go rookie, but then you're just wasting years. But at the same time, if you trade for all these vets that are available, like, there's a reason they're available. So I would consider signing him to an extension unless if like Joe Burrow asked out, then never mind, throw the kitchen sink at that guy.
So Ian, you're the Texans. CJ Stroud comes into the office and goes, I want an extension. You give him one, or you tell him, we'll get back to you.
I mean, if I'm the Texans, he's got a very short leash. I mean, we've seen what he can do in the postseason. Somehow, the Texans always win that wild card round, but as soon as it gets to divisional time, they lose bad every time. And watching him in the first round, I was like, man, he can't get any worse, right? 5 fumbles. You can't get any worse. You proved me wrong this week, and he got, I thought, worse. There was throws that were absolutely horrible, like way off from his receivers. And I know the weather played a factor into this, but also on the other side, you got Drake May carving up the defense. Where did he have some bad throws? Sure. But also he made throws. And I do not think CJ Stroud made a lot of throws unless they were like in the less than 5-yard range. And even then he was missing. So I think he's got a very short leash to prove that he can be the guy. I don't really think that they need to look for somebody right now, maybe kind of develop him a little bit more, spend more time with him. He's got the defense to carry this team all the way to the Super Bowl. He's the weak link right now.
Yeah. I mean, that defense was relentless. Like Will Anderson is. I don't
Terminator.
care which side he decides to line up on. Like he is just unstoppable at this point. And I kind of felt bad for Will Campbell because I thought for the most part Will Campbell was okay. It was just that Will Anderson was just that much better that you just look at him and just go, I mean, Campbell kind of needs to step it up. But the amount of times he was just like getting around Campbell, Meg would take like a half step up, but he would just jump up and reach out and just tip the ball away. It's just like what do you do with him? But like I said, May, even with all that, had 3 touchdown passes in the elements. He did have a couple of bad fumbles, I will agree with. But yeah, you look at Stroud's day, it's like all you think about are the interceptions, the I don't know, the like uneasiness in the pocket where he was just rushing out of there. Because I thought the first interception to Carlton Davis was terrible when he overthrew, I think it was Hutchinson, and Davis made the diving interception.
Oh, that was just a great play by the defensive back.
I know, but it was like you see that much of a misfire, you're like, oh, okay, you might be in for a rough day. But he threw to a tight end, and the throw was so far offline, the guy tore his knee up. And then the second interception on the sideline to Carlton Davis, where it was like a 3-yard pass, and Stroud threw it so far inside that he basically just threw it to Carlton Davis. And I was just like, yeah, like this guy's psyche's just messed up. He was always walking off the field, like head down. He looked sad on the sideline. It was just like he needed somebody to pick him up. But the rest of the team was just so worried about trying to win the game. It was just like he was just in his head. And once he got in there, like it was over for the day. So I actually like Stroud. I still do. But if he had a good game, maybe I'd be like, 4-year deal, sure. Yeah, I'm down to like 2 or 3 now. Because now next season, I'm going to need you to not be this turnover-prone quarterback. I need you to find what you had your rookie year and get back to that. I feel like it's that simple for me. So, I mean, hopefully he turns it around. But, yeah, that was a rough day for him.
Say, I wouldn't go anything crazy. Like, if the Texans really think he's the future and you can negotiate him to, for example, like Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold money, which is $33 million a year,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd probably jump on that this offseason because if he does play well, that number goes up by quite a bit. Because obviously top-end quarterbacks, you're talking 50.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, at the same time, I think you structure it so all the guarantees are in, like, that first year. So guess what? If things do go to crap, well, you just move off of them the year after that. I think if, like I said, if he's your guy, you want to help him. But at the same time, if you're a savvy businessman, I think you talk to him about it if he offers it. But if he starting to get like, yeah, I want 40, 45 mil a year, you go, yeah, you're playing on your 5th-year option, dog. Don't even worry about it.
Okay. Follow-up. Yes or no, you would have replaced Stroud with Mills at halftime after the 4-interception first half?
Ironically, probably not.
Okay. Ian?
That's tough because I do feel like Mills is a good backup. He makes good throws. I mean, he won them 5 in a row to keep them alive in the playoff hunt. He is very competent, but I don't think that you need to take Stroud out of it. I think what you said, you need somebody to pick him up, get him out of his head so he can come out there and play the game, but he just could not get out of his head.
At the end of the day, if he's your franchise guy, you got to run with your franchise guy in that situation. It's unfortunate. The funny part is the only time a 4-interception happened in the playoffs before that, the guy that threw 4 interceptions won. So I guess play to the odds. You're 100%, but no, if he's your franchise guy, like the Texans are, saying and convinced he is, you keep him in there and tell him, hey, go win this game. You're our guy. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I would have left him out there. I can't do that to him if he is the franchise guy. Oddly enough, what he probably needed was a Stephon Diggs type, because Stephon Diggs has done that for Drake May this year. Like if May throws a pick, Diggs will be the first one to go over and tell him like, we got this, we still good, and everything like that. That's what CJ Stroud needed. All right, so now looking at divisional round weekend, like we did last week, who had the best weekend? Who had the worst weekend?
It's tough. Who had the best weekend? It's so obvious to just say like the winners of like the Broncos, Seahawks, Patriots, Bears. Say, but at the end of the day, I think I'm going to nominate somebody for best weekend. Rashid Shaheed, returning the opening kickoff in that game and really just setting the tone.
Yeah.
For the Seahawks that that they just kind of ran away with at that point. So you know what? I'll nominate somebody first, and I'm gonna pick Rashid Shaheed.
Okay. I guess we'll do best first, and then we'll go around to worst. Ian, who had the best weekend?
I'm going to stick with the same team, but a different player. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. He had a phenomenal game. I mean, 6.1 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, 116 yards rushing. Plus, I believe he had, 29 yards receiving. So he's just great for this offense. Help them keep the foot on the gas. And really, I mean, they only needed that opening kickoff, but just helped keep the pressure on the 49ers. Did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, that is a good one. I was so glad to see Kenneth Walker have a good game. For me, the best weekend, I'm going to go the 2023 quarterback class. Jaden Daniels made the championship game last year. Bo Nix, was the 12th pick that year. He led his team to it this year. Obviously, he's not going to play because of the broken bone in his ankle. And Drake May's making the AFC title game. Plus, Caleb Williams was a throw or two away from making the NFC title game. So I feel like the draft class as a whole, they had a good weekend because I feel like it's a class that we'll look back on in probably 3-4 years and realize how good they actually are. So good weekend for them.
I got another name to nominate for this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Cam Curl.
Oh,
Obviously, he made 2 big plays in that game. He broke up a play on the sidelines with a big hit, and then obviously he made the interception on Caleb Williams at the end. So, you know what? I think that we'd be doing him a major disservice if we did not mention Cam Curl for best weekend, because that was just a phenomenal weekend for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good nomination there. So we talk about the best. Gotta do the worst. Who had the worst weekend?
The referees.
Okay.
It's not even the referees, just their PR, I guess. But no, I actually thought the referees had a fine job this weekend. Jeez, it's impossible not to say. I already mentioned them, but it's impossible not to bring it up again. We talk about CJ Stroud, but I'm going to go DJ Moore for just giving up on the Bears on that last play.
Okay. That's fair. Ian, who had the worst week?
I think based off of all the hype around this player, what is expected of him, and just the lack of outcome that he has had in the playoffs year after year, I will say the worst week was Josh Allen.
Yeah, that fumble at the end of the first half that led directly to a field goal. Yeah, that did kind of seal his nomination for him. Just a terrible play all around. I will go. I'll probably stick with the same team and just say Sean McDermott. Like, he had a good run, but we're just going to remember his run in Buffalo as Mahomes knocking them out several years. Then the year where it seemed like everything was lined up for his team to finally break through, he loses to Bo Nix and Sean Payton out in Denver. And that's ultimately the last we'll see of McDermott in Buffalo. So For me, Sean McDermott had the worst weekend. All right, so now we know the championship matchups. We got Seahawks, Rams, Broncos, Patriots. And right now, the favorites, according to Vegas, Seahawks are a 2.5-point favorite over the Rams. Patriots are a 5.5 favorite over the Broncos. Obviously, Jarrett Stidham starting instead of Bo Nix. Jarrett Stidham out of Auburn. I'm sure Cam Newton will be paying attention and probably say he'd be the best Auburn quarterback for the job. But, look at the NFC. I guess sitting here right now, who do you have winning between the Seahawks and Rams, and why? If you want to talk about X factor or whatever, why do you have your pick as is? So, start with you, Brett. Seahawks, Rams, who you got?
I got the Seattle Seahawks. I think that this will be a fun back and forth game. I think the Rams offense will be a little more alive than it was last game, just due to a different, weather conditions. But this defense has just absolutely been. I think it's just going to be too much to overcome for the Rams. I think this will be a fun, low-scoring back and forth game. But I do think that the Seahawks pull this off. And I think the X factor, like he's almost been for them all year, DeMarcus Lawrence. He's come over from the Cowboys, and he's made a massive impact on the defensive line. Not only as a pass rusher, but he is so good in the run game. And I think he's going to be huge in keeping the Rams' run game in check. And you're gonna force Stafford to air it out. And I do think Matthew Stafford is very capable of beating you. Well, Matthew Stafford is also very capable of making mistakes. We almost saw a couple in the Bears game that were drop picks that didn't come back to bite them. I think you're going to get a back and forth game that'll be decided because Matthew Stafford's going to make very similar off throws like he has one or two a game. And the Seahawks have been capitalizing on those all year. So I think that this will be a fun back and forth game that the Seahawks win. Give me Seattle 28, the Rams 25.
Okay. So you would have so you'd have the Seahawks covering just barely. Ian, do you agree Seahawks win this one, or do you think the Rams could pull off, I guess, the minor upset?
I got the Seahawks on this one. Like Brett said, their defense is just too much to overcome. The Rams have a great offense, but just this defense is a relentless front. I mean, their front four is just outstanding. And I think one of the key X factors this week is going to be Kenneth Walker, getting him going on the offensive side for Seattle. As long as you can get him going, you can mix in the play action pass, get Sam Darnold going, get him comfortable, and ultimately help the Seattle Seahawks win this game.
I have the Seahawks as well. I think before the playoffs, they were my pick in the NFC because of that defense. I'm going to stick with them. I think the key for them, Stafford will give you opportunities to picks. I think the Seahawks have to take those, capitalize on them, and if they do so, I think they can win this kind of comfortably. I'm thinking like a 27-17 type of deal, but divisional foe, third time, always tough, but I'll take the Seahawks in this one to head to the Super Bowl. All right, AFC. May and the Patriots head to Denver to face Stidham and Sean Payton. Sean Payton has already said basically like he's going to show everybody what Stidham can do because they're confident in him, which he kind of has to say. He can't go up there and be like, we're screwed because Stidham's going to start. But look, Stidham's been around. I'm sure Payton is smart enough to understand what his strengths are and come up with a game plan for that, whether it's like really quick, short passes, not a lot of, reading and reacting, getting himself in trouble. And if you're Denver, if you have to punt on a few drives, trust your defense to kind of make plays for you against New England. That's probably how you go about it. But I guess starting with you, Ian, who do you have winning this one?
Well, Sean Payton also said that Jarrett Stidham would be a starting quarterback on 12 teams in the league. So I feel
like most people, when they do it, they'll be like 31 other teams he could start for. At least he gave us only 12.
Yeah, that's true. But I have the Patriots winning this one. I think they're going to win it rather comfortably. Their defense is going to be very good and key against this. I mean, Stidham's not going to be ready for the Patriots defense. The Broncos are going to give a little bit of trouble for Drake May on defense, but I still think that the Patriots are going to come out on this one.
Brett?
I agree. I think you're going to get a very similar strategy from Vrabel and company that you got against CJ Stroud. Guess what? They're going to mug up the line. They're going to bring everybody to the line. They're just going to crank up the pressure. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Jarrett Stidham's going to be ready for that. He hasn't taken a snap this year, say, in a situation like this. So I really do not think that this happens. I think the Broncos defense will keep them in the game for a little bit, but I think at some point they'll pull away. Hey, what up?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, give me the Patriots rather easily. Give me 30-10.
Okay. I mean, I agree. I guess we're all looking at Patriots, Seahawks for the Super Bowl. I think, look, even with the elements, May did well. I don't know what the forecast is in Denver, but I'm kind of hoping that if it's just cold, I can live with that. You know, that sleet stuff, it played too much of a factor, but I think you give May time, he will find guys, and Booty seems like he likes the challenge of big-name corners because he went at Stingley, burned him for a play down the sideline. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see that again. And, it's got Patriots 27-10, Seahawks 31-30. Okay. I do think this one, if May doesn't turn the ball over, that would be the key. I think the Patriots do win kind of comfortably too. So,
right. Really thought you were going to go Broncos there, Kyle. Almost had me.
I mean, look, I went into the Houston game and I was actually more worried about Houston than it ended up turning out to be. I knew the defense was going to create a lot of issues for New England. I thought CJ Stroud was going to look a lot better. So that one definitely surprised me. But when it comes to Denver, if Bo Nix was playing, yeah, maybe I would feel some type of way. But I don't know. I just feel like there's something going on. New England, I think Vrabel has tapped into he's pushing all the right buttons and everything. I just think that at this point, they just find a way and they get it done. He did, yes. That's probably the best way to look at it. He looked overwhelmed with the scheme New England had when he was on the sideline looking at the little Surface tablet. He looked overwhelmed over there too. Like he needed a hug, like big time.
Maybe they need to add the positivity rabbit into their locker room.
They needed something.
Eagles probably have it sitting around somewhere.
He needed something. It was just. And it wasn't even just the interceptions. Like, he had so many others that were almost picked. And it was just like, is this man about to, like, turn it over, like, 8, 9 times himself? And it was just like I didn't want to see that for him necessarily. But, Patriots fan, I was loving it. So, yeah.
I am curious, if the Broncos do pull off an upset against the Patriots, do they go out and get a veteran quarterback for the Super Bowl? You know, like the old 49ers are going to get Phillip Rivers if they made it to the Super Bowl. Do they do a similar thing if they so happen to beat the Patriots, or do you roll with Stidham?
I feel like if they won, don't you kind of have to go with Stidham? It would be kind of a messed up message. It'd be like, hey, Stid, appreciate you getting the win for us. We're going to go out and get this other guy for the Super Bowl because we don't think you're ready for that just yet. I think you have to ride with Stidham.
We're one Seahawks win, and Sam Darnold will bleak away from getting Drew Lock, Jarrett Stidham Super Bowl matchup. Let's go!
Oh, jeez.
Oh man, that would be. If it did come down to that would be crazy. Both teams probably knocking down doors like, "Hey, Tom Brady, you got a little more left in that right arm. You want to give it a try for a game?" Cam Newton will call both teams like, "Hey, I'm available if you need me." Like,
I'm good.
Think about it.
It's like Cam Newton's just like the Isaiah Thomas of quarterbacks, just tweeting every team, "Y'all need a quarterback?"
Yeah. just releasing workout videos from random high schools around the country, just showing them like, guys, I'm here. Phone's right there. Just give me a call. But yeah, I think you'd have to go with Stidham. They win. It'd be fun. I don't know. I mean, I'm also not counting out Denver in any way. Like we've seen already, defenses can really take over these playoff games, which I like to see that too. Defenses are getting some love now. I feel like we got way too far into spread offenses and all this kind of stuff. Build a good defense. You can slow down these high-powered offenses now. And the running game coming back too. Because Ramondre Stevenson's been kind of an unsung hero for New England in these playoffs too. But, as we get out of here, got one last question. National championship game is tonight. Miami or Indiana? Who do you have?
I got Indiana.
Indiana.
Y'all breaking Michael Irvin's heart.
It's all right. He'll do some lines in the bathroom. He'll be all right.
Yeah. It'll be a party in that locker room.
I mean, Michael Irvin is having the time of his life. Like, I'm sure at the start of the game, I hope the camera pans to him right away. I just got to know what he's doing. And then as the game goes on, show him every once in a while. I got to see if they're losing. Does the mood change? If he's over there with pom-poms, like, I got to see a Michael Irvin cam.
Say, just don't let him into that locker room. All right, here's my halftime.
If they win, lock the door.
Nah, yeah. Here's my halftime speech. It's called Columbia. Just lining it up on the table.
Yeah.
Once you're ready to play.
If they lose, lock him out because he will probably be the biggest Debbie Downer in there. But yeah, if they win, all that champagne's his. Plus some other stuff. I'm just saying. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, that's all we kind of had for you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Anything you guys want to add before we get out of here?
Hey, you can come see me in about another 30 minutes. Hopefully you're not sick of me yet for the Meaty Boys podcast. Other than that, congratulations to Jeff Hafley for nailing the Dolphins job. Happy for you. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to throw. Shout out to Haf. He deserves it.
Yeah. Ian, anything you want to throw out there?
No.
No, hey. All right. Yeah, look, make sure you guys come back next week. We will be, looking at the Pro Bowl games since we have a week between the Super Bowl and everything. And I guess one of the reserves get named for the All-Star game.
I'm not
sure.
Is
it next week?
I think so.
Yeah. So anyone knows something about that?
The real question, Kyle. Okay. Super Bowl's on February 8th. We have a show on February 9th. Will you be good for that show? Or
no, I'll be good.
I'll be doing a little too much of that Michael Irvin celebration.
No, I don't think anybody can handle a Michael Irvin. No, I will definitely be here, win or lose, even if we're not even in it. But I will be here.
Oh, farewell. I'm hoping the Patriots winning it would be fun. So, best of luck to you.
Yes, for the Drake May lure. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back here next week to talk about it all once again. So be safe, and we'll see you all. All right, bye.